Welcome to day 19. Lesson 19. We are going to start with our comparing of box plots. For your activating strategy, which one does not belong? Consider the data that you see and what we look for in box plots, and circle your answer and submit. Today we will use box plots to compare the measures of center and the measures of variability of two populations. Okay. The box plot below show the number of minutes playing video games by students in 6th and 7th grade at Gwinnett Middle School. Compare the centers of the data sets. What can you infer based on this data? So let's look at our data. Here, here, you can see this is our median. We know this because we know that the line inside of our box plot, that is our median. Our median here for 6th grade is 35. And 7th grade is 45. These are minutes playing video games. Based on the data here, I can infer that 7th grade on average, and this is the median information, just utilizing median information, on average spends more time playing video games than 6th grade. I can also look at what this is. This is Q1 and Q3. This is also being that the box here for Q1 to Q3 is larger than 7th grade, or larger in 7th grade than it is in 6th grade, I can also infer that the variability in the data for 6th grade is pretty wide. And it is more concentrated for 7th grade, meaning more of the students are within 35 and 45. Let's compare variability. We already started that. So I use the interquartile range, that's Q1 to Q3, Q1, Q3, to make my inferences here. We have to remember each part is 25%. If we're just comparing, the interquartile range and we assume that they gathered the same amount of data points, we can also infer that the data points are more spread out for 6th grade than they are for 7th grade, meaning this data is going to be more consistent. We can even look at our Q4s. to see that the data is more spread out for 6th grade. Meaning 6th grade has high variability in their times, and 7th grade has a more consistent variability. This combined with the median for 7th grade being 45 makes me more likely to believe that 7th grade plays more video game time. What percentage of students for each grade level spends more than 35 minutes playing video games? So let's look at who does more than 35. So this one we have okay. Here we have 25 and 25. So for 6th grade, 25 plus 25 is 50. 50% of students spend more than 35. I have to include this because usually we do not include because it says more than. I have to include this because with the way the median works is half of the points are bigger than the median and half of the points are less than the median. So your median is the center. That does not mean there are students there. It also doesn't mean there aren't students there. That just means it's center. Half of your points are more and half of your points are less. So 50%. And we're going to look at 7th grade. So here, their Q1 ends at 35. That doesn't mean that they're at 35 or there isn't any information that here is at 35 or less than. But because we average the quartiles, if there are even numbers there, half of the data is more and half of the data is less, which means we include this in our calculation. So 25 plus 25 plus 25 is 75%. So it is estimated that 50% of 6th graders spend more than 35 minutes playing video games, and 75% of 7th graders spend more than 35% playing video games. The box plot below show the last science quiz scores for 2 classes, first period and second period. A, compare the centers of the data sets. B, compare the variability of the data sets. And C, what can you conclude based on this data? You will answer C by yourself. This is one of the requirements to complete the lesson. Make sure you utilize and cite the data that you see. Also, utilize complete sentences and your vocabulary. Let's begin. So, the median here is 70, and the median here is 80. %. We do know that each of the quartiles is 25%. 25% here, 25% here, 25% here, and 25% here. Same here. 25% here, 25% here, 25% here, and 25% here. So we're going to compare the centers. The median for first period is 70%. That is considered a passing score. And the median score for second period is 80. The interquartile range, so I'm going to call that the IQR, which is the variability. IQR for first period. Let's see. You have 90 minus 50 is 40%. And we have 85 minus 55. That's going to be 30%. So these are the measures of center and the measures of variability for each one. For your question C, make sure you answer what can you conclude based on this data. For your formative assessment today, the box plot below shows the points scored per game for two basketball teams. Which statement is true based on the data? You will circle your answer, and this is another required slide. A, the Lions have a greater center than the Bears. B, the Bears score more than 84 points in 25% of their games. C, the Lions' data is more consistent than the Bears. And for your summary, another required slide. 3 different grocery stores weighed the pineapples at their store. The box plots represent the weights in each grocery store. Where would you shop if you needed pineapples that were different weights? Use evidence from the box plot to justify your thinking. So you will answer the question utilizing a complete sentences. You will cite the data and utilize vocabulary words. For your review, you are going to utilize iReady, probability of compound events. This iReady is meant to help you calculate the probability of compound events. And we remember from our previous lessons that compound events are events that uses a probability for 2 or more events. Okay? To answer certain slides, you can Open up the slide. You will have your own copies. You can simply add your information or add what you want to add there, or you can add a new slide and answer. Just make sure once you are done, you save and you submit your work. If you have not done so before this presentation, make sure you go back and do this for the rest of your presentation. You all have a great day.